In Nigeria, there is a pressing issue confronting both urban and rural dwellers alike, which is informal settlements. Informal settlements are residential areas that do not comply with local authority requirements for conventional or formal townships. They are unauthorized and are located upon land that has not been proclaimed for residential use. Informal settlements are often characterized by overcrowding and limited access to basic services. The population living in these conditions continues to grow, posing numerous challenges. Living conditions within informal settlements are marked by inadequate housing, limited access to clean water and sanitation, and unreliable electricity. Families often live in cramped spaces with little privacy or security. The dire living conditions in informal settlements take a toll on the health and education of residents, particularly children.
We are suffering for this place because we'll be having security challenges, having road challenges, and have primary school challenges. We don't have any primary school, and we don't have a regional health care. That's our challenge, but God help us with one of our brother, Mr. Honorable Kalangu. That's the only person help us for this community to do us road. That's achievement we achieve for now for federal government. We need government to, our children are crossing to do going primary school. All of our schools here is a private. We don't have any standard federal government school in this Mumba community. So we are crying for federal government that they should try and do us primary school. That's our major challenge on this village. I'm a leader of the palace here, and I'm a commander of Vigilante Group of Nigeria. Since we are here, no any help of government. It's unless Mr. Kalongo came in now.
In the advanced countries of the world, like America and other cities, there's what we call conferral of social benefit system. Under the conferral of social benefit system, what the government do majorly that the government take part of the income of the state, part of the income be given to several states, like being disbursement to several local government chairmen, disbursement to state governors. They take part of it and build something like a city. The city is not just a hotel, but a place where homeless people stay and they are cared for. Those people they have security there. They have buy-born water there, and at any time that anybody get a lucrative job, they leave the city and they pull other people, other numbers who have no home, to replace them in the city there.
The government has recognized the urgency of addressing the informal settlement crisis. Various intervention programs and policies have been put in place to uplift the living conditions of those affected. Initiatives include affordable housing schemes, improved access to clean water and sanitation, and upgrading of infrastructure within informal settlements. While progress has been made, challenges persist. Insufficient funding, bureaucratic hurdles, and sheer scale of the issue remain obstacles to comprehensive change.
We have many challenges here, which is government have to intervene. One, sometimes all this insecurity, but as a vigilante commander has said, he's trying, and also the acting chief, the village head, they are trying. So we need more help from the government.
We could have a community house in other areas of the town where these people can find a way, because sometimes it's hard to get the means to pay for a house rent, especially in the capital center. So, but the only way we can do that is when we have affordable housing. Then these people can have a place, or they can have something to live on. So the government has a role to subsidize house for low-income earners.
Informal settlements in Nigeria remain a complex challenge, but they are not without hope. As a government, communities and organizations work together, there is a potential for positive change.
estate plays an integral role in the Nigerian economy. Residential real estate provides housing for families. It is often the greatest source of wealth and savings for many families. Commercial real estate, which includes apartment buildings, create jobs and spaces for retail offices and manufacturing. Real estate business and investment provide a source of revenue for millions. Globally, real estate sector is one of the most profitable ventures of several economies and one of the indices of measuring economic growth of a society. It is a sector that mirrors the economic viability and sustainability of an economy and its poverty level. In general,
in the manufacturing industry, when we talk of building materials, and even in the training, every aspect of that construction is more or less a source of income generation. And also, you also want to talk to the extent of infrastructure. They also provide jobs for the people.
For this real estate expert, he says if investors put money into real estate, it can lead to redistribution of wealth.
Yes, it can. Of course, if money is injected into the system, investors, putting in money in real estate, it can lead to redistribution of wealth, because that way, you're going to be hiring lots of workers to lead to job creation. You're going to be buying, lots of products, from other manufacturing companies. So I think it's something that the government should look into. If we can provide lots of infrastructure, it can actually improve the economy of the country at large.
Real estate is somewhat seen as a domain of the developed world who have in the past exceeded their capacity to embark on very huge infrastructure projects. It is believed that if Nigeria completely keys into the industry, it will serve as an economic boost for the nation.
There's a serious housing deficit and the gap is too huge, and the government has to, do a lot to bridge that gap. You understand? Do a lot. First of all, I think there should be a special package for civil servants. That they will be doing maybe a contributory, this is for their salary, for them to, if it can cover up for the housing.
Yeah, in area of the housing, I think the mass housing is very important, because as such you should address the issue of real estate people, especially in Abuja. I bet in Abuja, I don't know about other states, but really what is happening in Abuja is something that needs an urgent, in fact it should be called an emergency, because what the real estate guys are doing is off it. They make house to just too exorbitant for people. You see them having houses unoccupied by people, and still same land, and someone build there, will still add up money in the next estate. I'm calling on him to do something good on Max Housing. The economic is on a slow lane. Ahmed Bola Tinubu, being a businessman, knows what to do. For me, leave that for him. He knows what to do.
You are just expecting good governance in the area of everything.
Look at Gwarimpa. Go and see. The accommodation there is too high. So how are we going to curtail this thing? Except, are you going to tell most of the houses there are senators, politicians that own the house. And we can't afford the house because they themselves, they don't want to make the house affordable for masses to say. So I don't know how I will even advise him, because telling him that he should know how to call the political people and then tell them that those people that owns all these big houses, they should take the house rate down so that it will be affordable for you and I to be able to access the house too.
FCT is choked up. There are too many persons on ground, but this person stays in the suburb because the houses in town are very, very expensive. The rents are high. For example, from City Gate down to airport, they have uncompleted estates all around that axis, both left and right. But as we speak, they are all empty. With this, the incoming government can be of help. The come is to subsidize these housing policies. Bring a policy that will subsidize these houses. Anybody that owns more than one house will be paying tax for the other houses. With this alone, people will reduce the ability of getting money and trying to acquire more houses. The high rate of dollar affects the import and export rate. That is what the incoming government should work towards to. That should be the first thing I beg them to work to, because what before we were buying for 7, 8, 9,000. As we speak now, it's 18, 19,000. You ask them, they say that it is exchange rate. You ask them, they say that it is shipping rate. You ask them, they say that the custom and all that. The whole tariff are so high. So please, we are appealing to the incoming government. They should come to our aid. For 7, 8, 9,000. As we speak now, it's 18, 19,000. You ask them, they say that it is exchange rate. You ask them, they say that it is shipping rate. You ask them, they say that the custom and all that. The whole tariff are so high. So please, we are appealing to the incoming government. They should come to our aid. What before we were buying for 7, 8, 9,000. As we speak now, it's 18, 19,000. You ask them.
Talking about the housing, yeah, the government has the ability to provide houses for its citizens. But how does it go? Sometimes they can build houses across the 36 states, but within them, the elites buy the houses for themselves without leasing out to the common man for rentage.
It's for government to remove subsidy. By removing subsidy, at least, we will not have to be spending money that we don't have. Look at our balance sheet. We spend a lot of money. Like this year, we'll be spending 6 trillion for subsidy. You understand? And we don't have the money.
Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, since it was created in 1976, has grown vastly in all dimensions, possessing one of the best infrastructures in the world. Yet its satellite town seems to be abandoned. The city is divided into 6 area councils, of which some areas are designated as satellite towns. These include Kusaki Yanga, Kuje, Rubochi, Anangada, Dobi, Gwagwalada, Zuba, Dede, Karshi, Gosa, Karu, Nyanya, Kubwa, Buari, Abaji, Kwali, amongst others. Development in the Capital Territory is, however, concentrated at the city centers, mainly in Maitama, Asokoro, Wuse, Garuki, and others, while the satellite towns lack infrastructures. Oddly, the majority of Abuja residents live in these satellite towns, which have next to non-existent infrastructures. How can these satellite towns be made habitable for those who live in them? Speaking with Housing Development Program, President of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Reverend Ugochukwu Chime, says there has to be effective collaboration between private sector and government.
The approach to making satellite towns in Abuja habitable is to work collaboratively between the private sector and the public sector. government who are in control of the land should be able to discuss with the private sector. Most times they develop infrastructure that is not sustainable. They come out with policies that are utopian. But if we're able to sit down together, if you know I'm going to be the investor that will bring in my money, I should be part of the decision-making process. So I believe that the FCT should be able to sit down with developers and be able to talk to ourselves and professionals. Sitting down, FCT, the professionals in the middle with developers who are investors in the real estate space, will be able to fashion out a workable program, a fundable program, a feasible program that will meet the needs of the market.
The department responsible for development of satellite towns in the FCT, the Department of Satellite Towns Infrastructure, DSTI, has its statutory responsibilities, which include to open up and develop the satellite towns by providing infrastructural facilities to the teeming rural dwellers, thereby improving their living standards, to provide a better environment through the provision of basic amenities, which would further reduce the pressure already existing in the capital city, and so on. The question will be, how well has the department worked towards achieving these responsibilities? Time will tell.
that they are agents, and at times they're not just an agent the way they are. They are also agent of 419. So at times when you pay to them, or they'll come and tell you in the name of buying a house, and then you discover that the real thing is not even there. So at times they are scammers. So that is my own view on.
The agent helped me. If I can gather money that time, I don't have the complete money to pay him. Then he helped me, and I really appreciate what he did. Make me to get the place. If not, I can't pay him that day complete. It's not a cost, it's a blessing. There is a little challenge, but it's a blessing. If he couldn't help me in that way and he did not explain it very well for me, no, I can't get the house. Now I'll still be paying rent. So he helped me, it's a blessing. Let me say it in general.
Some of them are not, they did not specialize in it. They didn't study it and they did not register. Some of them are dupers. They will take people's money, promising them, come today, come tomorrow. You don't get anything out of them. Some of them will open office. It will not take them 2 months to close and run away. A lot of people are complaining that these agents are not the real estate agents. I want them even to have maybe an official place where people register. It's like quack. A lot of quacks are everywhere. Some of the houses or land they will show people. The people building, they will build little. They will collect people's money. They will not give them anything. They run away. And some of them encroaches in people's plots. If you buy the land and you give them money, you enter into trouble. So what will happen is that, like the estate surveyors, let them have an organization that will be controlling all this, especially in this city like Abuja. It's not something that you spend money. There is no house, even 1 bedroom is more than 400,000. That you now go and spend your money and spend it just like that.
You know they do well because instead we then go collect less, then go like collect plenty on top of what person is. And at the end of the day, maybe those houses are not even genuine. You end up battling with your landlord and all these kinds of things. You know? If they can be able to go direct to the owner of the house, then I don't think there is any issue. You know, one thing with Nigeria, when you are privileged to get something, instead of at least consider ourselves, you like to eat on top of your brother again. That's the major problem that we're having, honestly speaking. But if they do things right, who would they suffer again? Everybody, everything will work well the way it's supposed to be.
Honestly, what I think about them, some of them are doing the reality job, but some of them, they are scam. Like this friends taking money from somebody without, you're not giving that person house. It's not a scam.
Basically for me, I think there are some disadvantage to it because a lot of them, they actually extort people. Because I remember when I was about to rent an apartment somewhere in Jabi, they collected some fees from me. And I don't know, even when I got to the house, I still have to like pay extra fee where they said that connection fee. So I paid like some percentage of the rent to the agent. To me, I don't think that should be an issue because if you are paying for the house rent, you're supposed to have covered all those things. Maybe it's the landlord that's supposed to like pay them for bringing in a tenant. Yeah, there should be measures put in place whereby maybe if you are looking for an apartment, maybe there's a platform whereby you just log in. You see maybe the kind of houses you want. If it's maybe a 2-bedroom apartment, just a self-con, they will just list everything there. You just pay your fee or you meet the owner of the house directly whereby you don't have to pay extra charges. I think that should be okay.
Lamentation and criticism continue to trail the state of housing across the country. From several states like Lagos to Kogi to even the Federal Capital Territory, the tale of substandard houses complemented with poor sanitation resonates. It has been unpleasant for residents of Apoduse community, as this is a challenge they are stuck with. The community, located around the popular Kabusa Junction in Apo, Abuja, is crippled with poorly built houses, poor road network, appalling sanitation, amongst others. Apoduse, which has an estimated population of over 100,000 people, generates a huge amount of waste, which threatens the health of its residents through air pollution. For the inhabitants, the first step outside the poor houses welcomes them into an awful heap of refuse dump. It is one challenge after the other for these residents. Both the young and the old are distressed by the poor standard of living.
The house we live in, they are full of dirty. The house is not well functioned. There's no good bed, good foundation. Our house is very poor. Even in the zinc itself, you can see the zinc. The zinc nothing good. Even the road itself, you can see that the road is not well done.
As you can see, the environment is very littered with dirtiness. The structure itself is not a very good building structure. We find it very bad, especially when it's raining. Most of the houses here collapse during rainy season. Some also leak. And even the landlord, when you talk to them, they will tell you you should repair it yourself. Some tenants are living, even my own compound presently now, the way we are. We don't have toilets, we don't have bedroom. Even when we manage to do the toilet, discover that more than 36 rooms are using one toilet. And that is what we have been facing. No water, like now, this dry season now, we're beginning to face scarcity of water.
Business owners in the area lament over unproductivity caused by poor infrastructure.
When you come about rainy season, you cannot even pass, people cannot even walk on the road. Same about walking, you cannot walk with your two legs on this road. It's only when the rain has finished dropping, like say 2 to 3 days, that the environment is dried. That's when people can be able to march. So it's really affecting our business. So when it's dry season like this, you find out that dust, I'm selling clothes, you find out dust with dust full all inside the shop everywhere, dust.
With all their years spent living in such conditions, one would almost think it has become a norm for these residents, but on the contrary, they continue to hope and expect interventions by the Federal Capital Territory Administration and the federal government at large.
I want to ask the government to provide for us good road, also good houses, because our house we are living in is full of destruction, dirtiness. We don't live in good, we don't even drink good water. Before we can see water safe, we'll go far and look for water.
Federal government, they are not planning to establish a new ministry that will channel all this youth. And this our leaders, they are still using old method. They are using old method ruling this country, but we need them to think outside the box.
Billions of naira has been allocated to the Federal Capital Territory Administration in the 2020 budget proposal. Perhaps the administration's intervention in this issue of poor infrastructure may bring the much-needed breather for the citizens.
Our system here does not encourage excellence. They don't supervise our system, our laws. People don't care. They do their things on their own. Nobody to supervise, yes. They acted professionally, or whoever professionally doesn't do their job because nobody is checkmating them. And even when it happens, nobody is held responsible for that. So it's a big problem for our country. If the Lagos state government had done what is right, it has been happening. That's not the first time. Buildings have been collapsing all over Nigeria, all over the world. But other countries will always take action. If it happens today, they will take action and punish whoever, irrespective of his position, irrespective of who he is. They will take action and punish whoever is the culprit. But that is just what we don't need. We don't have here in our country. People flop the law. People do whatever they want. Nobody question them.
In my opinion, the government has her faults and also the developer. I think that is what I can say. None of them can be absolved from what happened. The developer should strictly follow quality procedures, international best practices, avoid sharp, cutting corners, and sharp practices. And the government should do diligence in supervising, buildings like that. I'm sure there's an arm of government who is supposed to be supervising the project as it's going on.
I believe the engineers are to be blamed. Before you build anything, before you claim to be a professional, you went to school for this course, and under your watch a building collapsed. You are to be blamed because you didn't do your due diligence to checking the kind of land, to buying good products and everything. You have to do your diligence before you build anything, at least that high, 21-story buildings. I think it's the engineers to be blamed. The government have nothing to do about it. It's the engineers.
The government is to be blamed.
Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Number one. Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Housing Development Progress. In Nigeria. Housing Development Progress. In Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
It is time for your Housing Breakfast Show, Housing Development. Good morning. Glad to have you join me on yet another informative episode of the program. As always, I am your housing diva, Flora Ani. Before we delve into our lineup for today, first, let's see the news making rounds in the sector. I will be back.
The Nigerian housing sector faces numerous challenges that have impeded its development over the years. Nigeria has been reported to have over 28 million housing deficit, a figure hotly debated by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa. According to experts, despite its capacity to generate employment and stimulate the Nigerian economy, the sector's expansion has been hindered by issues such as a deficient land administration system, an ineffective mortgage structure, and a shortage of data, alongside a dysfunctional regulatory framework. But with the appointment of an architect and the former Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria (FMBN), architect Dangiwa, in August 2023, to head the now standalone Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, players in the sector became hopeful that the sector can be boosted to perform optimally and contribute significantly to the economic growth and development of the nation. Landmark Africa, a significant investor in Lagos real estate, has urged authorities to create a favorable environment for property developers and intervene to safeguard investments alongside the Atlantic Ocean Beach Corridor in Victoria Island, Lagos. The company asserts that securing the area from social miscreants and ensuring that the dredging of sand for the Eco Atlantic project doesn't harm the environment, especially real estate developments and communities within the shores, will raise investors' confidence and promote foreign direct investment, FDI. It has spent over 3.5 billion naira implementing a triple defense approach. This involves creating a stone embankment around its site to minimize the impact of large tidal waves caused by ongoing land reclamation work. Furthermore, the company has utilized sheet piling for the boundary wall to enhance stability and constructed an anchor wall tied to the sheet pile boundary wall.
full details of the news and more, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Access to housing is an important determinant of quality of life and human welfare, one that is both crucial to family well-being and essential to the overall health of the people. Investment in affordable housing construction currently remains far below the level of public offers. Yet another avenue to reduce the cost of housing development is to have an improved business environment for investors. This report coming up seeks to highlight the importance of this.
For many years now, Nigerians have lamented over the high number of vacant houses in major cities across the country. The reason is closely linked to affordability, which borders on whether low and middle income earners can afford these houses. This lamentation has been echoed again by key players in the real estate industry. The past president of the institution, Roland Abonta, and others charged the government to impose special taxes on unoccupied buildings in order to force down the high cost of rent.
I advised government to make use of the professionals to take inventory of such vacant houses, particularly in a city like Abuja and Lagos. And then when they have that database, begin to put some penalties or some levies in terms of taxes on vacant houses. That will compel the owners to put their properties into use. What keeps them vacant is that the prices are out of the reach of Nigerians that need accommodation. And so, because what they invested maybe did not come from bank loans or lending from other sources, so they can afford to lock it up for years without bothering about it being locked up like that.
For some people, these empty houses are there because owners have not yet gotten buyers for their property. However, government should engage professionals who are the estate surveyors and valuers to take proper inventory of the number of unoccupied houses in major cities across the country if they must address the high housing deficits facing the country.
You see, most things, especially in Abuja now, where you see a lot of houses not occupied, because a lot of those landlords have multiple houses, and some of them are not even willing to let them out. You just want to keep them for speculation, some for just keeping, for just status. Some are not even in the rent. You just want to keep it personally to appreciate who they intend to sell it after. Some is for personal uses. You go to Asoko, go to Meta, you see a lot of houses not occupied. They are owned by big men who don't need the income. So, government can do better by taxing them. Maybe by that they tax each of those houses, they will know that there's no need for them to keep it.
When government impose taxes on all those big houses in Guzape, Asokoro, I think we have enough to do on the houses.
It is important to note that experts continue to say that many of these houses are built by very rich people who do not suffer so much for the money and so can afford to lock up these houses when they build them. They insist that it is by imposing taxes on the properties that governments can effectively address.
They live in the shadows, forgotten corners of our city, overcrowded, unsanitary, lacking basic amenities. These are the slums where millions struggle to exist. But there's a flicker of hope. An ambitious project is underway. Imagine homes with running water, proper sanitation, schools and playgrounds for children, a chance for dignity, for dreams to take flight. But this transformation needs your voices. Speak to Housing TV Africa and let the world witness the resilience of those who fight for a better place to call home. Let our cameras capture the tears of joy, the shared laughter, the spirit of unity that shines brighter than any hardship. Get in touch with Housing TV Africa today and be a voice of hope to people living in the slum. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
This is Housing TV, the only TV program that gives you the best information.
a significant development for Nigeria's housing sector. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, inaugurated 4 reform tax schemes under the Renewed Hope agenda.
Please let's clap for them.
Dangiwa emphasized the importance of creating a vibrant and efficient housing industry during the inauguration ceremony held recently in Abuja.
What unites us is the desire for Nigeria to have a vibrant, functional and efficient housing industry that not only meets the shelter needs of Nigerians, but also to unlock the massive potential of the sector for catalyzing inclusive economic growth.
In his speech, the minister expressed the goal of not only meeting the shelter needs of Nigerians, but also unlocking the massive potential of the sector for catalyzing inclusive economic growth. Research and experts have highlighted that previous housing plans and policies failed due to a lack of political will. Dangiwa acknowledged this challenge and emphasized the need for a foundational step towards implementing historic reforms.
Because over the last 60 years of Nigeria's independence, we have witnessed successive governments roll out a series of housing development plans and policies. Despite these many plans, our country has sadly failed to meet the housing needs of Nigerians as we still grapple with a huge housing deficit. Housing sector contribution to the gross domestic product, GDP, hasn't moved in any significant way over the past several decades. Housing development institutions are also still not only functional at suboptimal capacities, and the enabling housing laws are obsolete. Researchers and experts have stated clearly that most of the housing plans and policies since independence failed to deliver the expected results due to large part to a lack of political will on the side of the government. The good news now is that our President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, recognized that to achieve renewed hope vision target of building $1 trillion economy, housing must be prioritized. This means undertaking comprehensive housing reform, sector reforms that will ensure the systemic and prevalent issues that have caused underdevelopment are fixed.
The minister outlined the roles of the 4 housing sector reform tax teams, emphasizing their crucial role in realizing the renewed hope vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He detailed their primary responsibilities and set expectations for their contributions.
Well, in the next 8 weeks, we want them to produce their own reports. The report should be all-encompassing, deliverables, what they expect us to do, actionable points, and how we could do it. We want them even to give us the low-hanging fruits within the next 8 weeks, so that we can start implementing those reforms that they have done. At the end of it, we now present to the Federal Executive Council some of the things or some of the issues that need to go to National Assembly. From there, we now proceed to National Assembly to reform most